Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Clugston, and I'm doing my PowerPoint presentation for PAD 3113 Executive Leadership. I'm doing this on the fictitious fire department of Clugston Township Fire Department. Some of the department characteristics that we're dealing with is Clugston Township Fire Department handles all of the fire, emergency, medical, and rescue needs of an area of Southwest Florida. It is approximately 120 square miles with 400 miles of navigable waterways. Clugston Township Fire Department apparatus. There are 6 fire engines, 3 of which are advanced life support certified, 4 aerial apparatus, 3 ladders, and 1 truck with a platform. 2 of them are advanced life support certified, 7 rescue trucks, 4 mini pumpers, 2 small gallon per minute pumps, and 1 air supply rescue. We have 4 marine units, 2 are rescue only, and 2 are fire pump equipped. We have 3 brush trucks, 2 are pickup trucks, 1 is a deuce and a half. We have 2 battalion chief trucks. We have a special operations trailer, a hazardous materials response truck, and we also have assorted chief and support vehicles, such as for division chiefs and our quartermaster. Clugston Township Fire Department mission statement. Clugston Township Fire Department, with its highly trained staff, will proactively work to educate the citizenry through public education and fire inspection programs to lessen the occurrence of emergencies. In the event of an emergency, Clugston Township Fire Department will respond promptly to mitigate the emergency in a professional manner. Service to the community is our priority. Clugston Township Fire Department structure. The entry-level position is of a firefighter. From firefighter, you can move up to engineer. From engineer, you can move up to lieutenant. From lieutenant, you can promote to battalion chief. And then you get into the administrative positions of division chief, deputy chief, and finally, fire chief of Clugston Township Fire Department. Firefighter job description. Minimum qualifications is you will be an EMT paramedic or an EMT basic. You will have your Florida State Firefighter 2 firefighter certificate. You will perform emergency medicine, rescue operations, suppression operations, overhaul, hazmat mitigation. Your duties will include clean and maintain the station, apparatus, tools, and equipment, and you will train in tactics, use of equipment, and physical fitness. Engineer job description. You'll have to maintain the same qualifications as a firefighter. Your primary responsibility is safe transport of crew to and from calls. You will be required to drive and maintain apparatus and all equipment. You must know how to read the map, plot a course, safely navigate your crew to the scene, and then position your apparatus once on the scene. In the event of a fire, you will be required to provide proper water flow through proper hose lines. The lieutenant's job description. You have to maintain the same qualifications as firefighter and engineer. You are considered a first-line supervisor. You are in charge of all scenes and actions taken therein. You are responsible for the firefighters, engineers, and the station overall. You will be responsible for control and direction of suppression actions by crew to save life and property on a fire scene. A battalion chief's job description. Just like the lieutenant, you are required to maintain the same certifications as a firefighter and engineer, and also as a lieutenant. You are responsible for crews in your jurisdiction. On a fire scene, you will be incident commander or incident safety commander. You will recommend, conduct, and review training, and you will take responsibility for scheduling personnel at required station. This is a small list of duties required by a battalion chief. A division chief's job description. You will either be in operations or support. You are third in command of the fire department. This is considered an administrative position. You could act as the deputy chief in their absence. You are responsible to set and develop SOGs and SOPs, develop budget for your division, and you will also assist in hiring and promotional testing The Deputy Chief's job description. Once again, this is an administrative position. You are second in command of the fire department. That is considered an executive position. You are responsible for the divisions under your command. You are responsible for the department budget. And in the absence of the fire chief, you will be expected to act in their position, including going to meetings and speaking events. The fire chief's job description. For the Clugston Township Fire Department, the fire chief's overall responsible for the fire department. He sets the mission and direction of the fire department. The fire chief is a public figure who can be expected to attend functions and speaking engagements. The fire chief establishes emergency operations plans with other community leaders, and at this level, he is more of a politician than a firefighter. Goals for the Clugston Township Fire Department. You will work to prevent loss of life and property through prevention actions and reaction actions. You will establish good prevention programs working with kids or children, adults, and through the use of public service announcements, both in radio and television. Prevention programs for children. We teach stop, drop, and roll in the event that a child finds his clothing on fire. We teach them to stay low under smoke in the event that there is a fire in their home, and to check the door for heat and find a second way out, typically a window in the event of a bedroom. We teach children not to play with matches or lighters and not to hide from firefighters, even though they may look scary, but they are actually friendly, and to establish a family meeting place with a secondary location. As far as fire prevention for adults, we advise them and teach them to have and maintain smoke detectors. This includes checking the batteries and that they actually work. We also do fire inspections of new construction and occupied businesses. We operate a Community Emergency Response Team program, or CERT program, and we will also do open houses at fire stations. And this is a good opportunity to meet the neighborhood and the community. We work with public service announcements. The two main mediums that we will work in with public service announcements is through television and radio announcements. On these public service announcements, we can do things such as remind people to check their smoke detectors, not only that they have working batteries, but that the smoke detectors themselves work. And it is also a good chance to give out warnings of impending disaster, such as hurricanes, or in the event of a hazardous material incident, evacuation. Some of the reaction programs that we do are suppression, and that is when there's a house fire, we work to put out the fire and prevent further spread of the fire, including overhaul missions. We do rescue operations. That could be something as simple as an EMS call to confined space or high angle rescue. And we also do hazard mitigation. This is for chemical spills or even something as simple as a car accident with fluids on the ground. As far as hiring, we do a nationally recognized CPAT and a written test. The CPAT starts with a 50-pound weight vest, and for the stair climb portion, you're given an additional 25 pounds and expected to walk 180 steps in 1 minute, so that's 1 step per second. You'll have to do a hose drag, an equipment carry, a ladder raise, forcible entry, as well as doing a search, which is where you crawl through a tunnel with obstacles in it, rescue, which is where you drag a 165-pound dummy by straps on its shoulders, and do a ceiling breach and pull, which is an apparatus where you take a pike pole and you have to do so many reps of forcing through the ceiling and pulling down ceiling, and then a certain number of reps of those, certain number of sets of those reps. There is also a written test covering mechanical and spatial thinking, as well as just general knowledge of the fire service. As far as promoting to the position of engineer, minimum qualifications is having your state of Florida pump operator certificate. You must have a minimum of 3 years employed with the department, and you must be signed off to act as an engineer. You get signed off working with our training department. It shows that you are proficient in operating the apparatus. There is a written test to go with the promotion, as well as a practical application. The written test materials are drawn from the IFSTA Driver Operator Handbook, the IFSTA Aerial Apparatus Driver Operator Handbook, the PHMSA Emergency Response Guidebook, or ERG, that covers hazardous materials, and you must also be familiar with department SOGs and SOPs, Standard Operating Guidelines, Standard Operating Procedures. There is a practical test portion of the promotion test, and in the practical test, the first thing you do is an EVOC course. This is the driving portion of it, where you must navigate a course of cones, and there are standards set up as to how many cones you are allowed to hit. There is an aerial operation where you must place and operate an aerial device, and there is also a pump panel test where you are given hose lines that you must work out the hydraulic formulas and pump the proper pressures. To promote to the position of lieutenant, you must maintain the same qualifications as firefighter and engineer, but you must also possess your Florida State Fire Officer 1 certificate. You must have a minimum 3 years employed as an engineer with the department, and if you add that up with the engineer time and the firefighter time, you're now at 6 years minimum to be lieutenant. And you must also be signed off to act as a lieutenant. There are 2 portions of the lieutenant promotional test. There is a written test and a practical test. The written test contains material taken from the manuals of all classes to obtain your FO1. The practical test involves a tabletop computer-based scenario where you are shown a fire scene and you go from there explaining exactly what you would do in your tactics. There is also a conflict resolution portion where you must help a troubled employee with problems that they are having. Just like most jobs, you will have to be evaluated as you go. Now, there are different frequencies for evaluations, pretty much between probationary and others. The frequency of probationary firefighters, they will get evaluated daily and bi-monthly cumulatively, along with the final evaluation to get off probation. All other personnel get evaluated bi-yearly. As far as the Clugston Township Fire Department's discrimination policy, CTFD does not tolerate discrimination. Our employees are protected under Florida Civil Human Rights Act, and this states that employees are protected against discrimination based on color, race, sex, religion, age, national origin, marital status, or handicap. As far as risk assessment goes, we will cover hurricanes, because that is the biggest hazard we are likely to face. Identifying the hazard is the hurricane. To profile the hazard event is the storm surge, because that is the most deadly part of the hurricane as far as loss of life and property. As far as inventorying assets, we do that through a pre-plan. And for estimating losses, we will rely on insurance companies and FEMA to give us dollar numbers. As far as leadership skills looked for in the CTFD, we look for people who are self-motivated, organized, decisive, honest, and innovative. Honesty is probably the most important one on this list because it goes hand in hand with integrity, and honesty and integrity are extremely important in this job. As far as motivational skills, one of the biggest ways that we promote motivation is by showing appreciation for our employees and self-improvement through training opportunities and mentoring. We believe that information is motivation. Because the more that an employee knows, the more they're able to plan. As far as decision making, we know that we are making proper decisions for the department if our tasks and goals are accomplished, if we adhere to our mission statement, if we have low employee turnover combined with high community satisfaction, that our citizens believe they're getting the best bang for their